women are just like a source of joy, and every time you meet a new woman and you end up dating them, you end up sleeping with them, whatever it is, this is like one of the greatest things that life has to offer, that you get to share this kind of interaction with a woman, right? And then all of a sudden you get in a situation like that, and all of a sudden you're looking over your shoulder with every chick because you're like, well, what the fuck else is going to happen here?
Yeah, that shit is just crazy. I want to ask you a question, because you said women are like one of the greatest. What else is comparable to a woman? like, look.
You ever been in the ocean?
I've been in the ocean.
Feels pretty good, right?
But I frequent the ocean, man.
Right.
Like, my next house is gonna be on the beach. I'm in the process of buying a dope beach house.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, like, when you put a woman versus like anything else in life, like, what is better than that?
Yeah.
I'm asking you. For you, your friend was a better man than me on a day like that. Because I had situations where I had my kid before and chose to proceed with the bullshit. Dad, remember when we were this and you had that fight and you were hitting them? When I was like, every time I had to break them down and just let them know that wasn't cool and that I would never do it again. It happened with my kids twice, and years ago, in my 30s and 20s. But yeah, man, that shit, to have the restraint to let your children be motivating enough to sort of, battle this shit in your head that makes you want to jump off the deep end is just dope as fuck.
But it must be weird to even have to explain to your kid that you made a mistake, and also knowing deep down inside that you would probably do it again.
I think is a lesson when it's, you and your child is concerned. How
do you think your dad felt about seeing your success?
He was excited as fuck, man. Being old is dope as fuck.
Okay, I'm gonna tread lightly here, but when you say you were in the studio with Draco a few days before he passed, I mean, the word on the street was that, like, basically every blood in LA.
But yeah, as far as like me moving as like game, I just move how game wanna move. I mean, even niggas that's putting this, saying this or saying that, like, they got kids too and they got family too. The world is lacking love. But other than that, man, I want everybody, Crip, blood, Mexican, Asian, white people. I don't get the monkeypox, the fucking COVID, it's all kind of shit out here. When I call somebody op, it's they really opposition. I'm not, out the water yet. Okay, leave LA. Well, basically Vegas up the freeway, but still forward over LA shit.
Calabasas is like a colony of LA.
And so that shit, I stopped in a few tiers. That was the first day I found out that I don't know if I really want to run backwards no more, because like we talked about, a few minutes ago, it's just hard when you lose somebody that means a lot to you. And my dad wasn't he wasn't no angel, man. He did some fucked up shit to me, my mom, my family and shit, but he was still my father, and just as much fucked up shit as he did good shit in my life. And he taught me a lot of things. And so I battle with that, as a child, from my childhood all the way still some days in the adulthood, because some shit, even at 40 years old, I don't got the answers to. But this nigga, he always knew how to figure some shit out. And for all the shootouts and killing and jail time that he did,
if you live to be old enough that you get to see your kids be kind of old, like if you get to live to see your kids hit 40, 50, that's, if you get grandkids, if you get to see your grandkids turn 15, 20,
that shit,
that's the ultimate W.
Pac didn't have kids, and I don't think Pop Smoke didn't have kids.
I don't think so.
Yeah, like, that's your person. You know what I'm saying? That's a person that that you love to death. They love you to death. You know what they share. You can only imagine what they shared. And to cut that in half and then ask someone or watch someone go on with their life and just like normally, that shit, I don't even understand how that's possible, man.
When I went to Draco's funeral and got to just see his kids fucked up, his family just fucked up. And to me, that's one of the saddest things since Nip, like in terms of LA talents that we lost.
I was at that show. Like, I was on stage and got my mic cut because it was bullshit going on backstage.
Wow.
And you got to pick them up every single day, 5 days a week until they're fucking like how old?
Right.
Like, that shit fucks with me. My kids go 3 different directions every day for school, and I don't have control when they're out of my care. And, not saying I condone anything or any of it, or even but there's 2 sides to every story. Like, I think that teachers got to be a lot more hands-on and a lot more caring. So why would we even drop our kids off or even trust that system, especially in America where most of these school shootings are happening?
Would you feel more safe dropping your kids off at school if you knew that 10% of the teachers were carrying firearms and were trained to use them in the event of an emergency?
Me personally, I don't think that I would feel any safer, because what if a teacher's wife leaves him or fucks the neighbor and he's got a gun at school and he feels like he wants to turn his gun on the kids? And I started to walk. When I used to race my dad when I was younger, he was obviously faster than me. He did some fucked up shit to me, my mom, my family and shit. And he taught me a lot of things. And so I battled with that, as a child, from my childhood all the way still some days in the adulthood. Because some shit, even at 40 years old, I don't got the answers to. But this nigga, he always knew how to figure some shit out. And for all the shootouts and killing and jail time that he did, and sometimes, man, I be getting to these breaking points where I be feeling like I just need to ask him a question. You're not going to be able to find that person ever again. And this is why I tell my kids all the time, love on each other, love who loves you, because when it's over, like when it's time for somebody to punch the clock and leave Earth, man, you ain't gonna never be able to find them again. If you see this shit, you should be the bigger person, because if they die, you're gonna be sick. And you're not going to be able to return, turn back the hands of time.
Not publicly?
Publicly? Nah, I wouldn't do it publicly.
Right.
Nah.
You used to be a bit more like beefing with people on Twitter and all that, right?
People too sensitive these days, man. I don't got time for it, so I'd rather just in my group chat, man.
You know the power of your celebrity. Like, you could easily... Like the way Kanye just turns it on, and he's just TMZ headline every fucking day for a few months.
He don't give a fuck. He just, it's how he feel, and that's it. But you want people to be truthful, right?
Right.
And you want people to tell you how they feel when they feel in a certain way. He does that shit, every day. So yeah, man, that's my brother. I love him, and he that's just how he is.
But every time you've ever gone,
he don't got no filter.
Every time you've ever gone to post anything slightly controversial on social media, you have that thing in your head of like, this is going to be TMZ.
Yeah.
Everybody on fucking Earth, like it's just going to be a whole thing.
Now the thing is like you might offend somebody or be low key, or you might be looked at as messy or like pillow talking, or I don't know, they'll call you some shit on the internet in the comments that really don't matter in the big scheme of things. But like I said, that's just another judgmental aspect of like people, relationships, and the opposite sexes and shit.
And a lot of like, if you look at upper echelon, I'm not going to use any names, but I'm sure people at home could fill in the blanks, top level celebrities and rappers, a lot of them are wifing up chicks who dated their friends, dated their peers, slept with a whole bunch of guys for all we fucking know.
So it was like Crip niggas, blood niggas, essays, Asians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, white boys, Jamaicans, Latin Kings, disciples, vice lords. Hey, like I wanted everybody to know that I saw him. You know what I'm saying? That I saw him like I see you, like you see me sitting here. People, like when you let people know that they're alive and you see them, at least see them, right? They become accustomed to just really fucking with you because they know that they're not invisible to you. You know what I'm saying? That's the main problem with like racism these days, is people steering away from people because of a stigmatic, type of mindset that's been driven into the hearts and minds of people since the fucking beginning of time.
Shit that they learned from the news.
Like it's all taught behavior. So me, I've always tried to disband that shit. I've been a blood, and I'm personally I'm tired of like marching for the same shit to happen over and over again. It's just hate. It's just people hate people and don't even know why they hate them, man. And it's taught and it's systematic, and I don't know what it's gonna take to break it.
I mean, the Brittany Griner thing's crazy because she's pretty much just being used as a political pawn, little thing with Russia right now.
It's just always about politics, and when you think about that, like, what is it for? Like, you want to take this from these people for what?
Nobody gives a fuck. The fact that Kanye got that reaction however many years ago saying it, and that the baby could say it now and nobody says shit, kind of says a lot about how black people are not just expected to vote for fucking one candidate at this point. I mean, it kind of says a lot about how quickly the world's changing, I guess.
My dad, he was very supportive of my career and very happy. I think that was probably the thing that made him the most happy in his life, is that I was able to amass this success, man.
Well, you were able to tell the story of the life that he lived, more or less, and that a lot of other kids that he grew up alongside lived. And you were able to like put that into words to the point where, even people who hadn't been through that at all were able to understand.
Yeah, man. It's it's one thing, like when you it's two ways that you can literally have longevity, right? One is you can absolutely be the fakest motherfucker you ever thought you could be and just lie your way all the way through. And if long as you believe your lies, which is most of the industry these days, then you can last this long. The other way is to just be real with your friends, your family, and your core fan base, just 100% authentic. And you keep it real with them, they keep it real with you, and they'll support you till the day you die.
If you only cared about advancing your career.
Exactly.
And I do know a lot of people like that, and I respect the fuck out of them. I know people who work for labels where, every day they might listen to 100 new artists.
Right.
Because they actually love that. And at a certain point, I guess I just kind of realized, like, I don't want to spend my whole fucking life looking for artists or trying to manage artists or whatever. People ask me all the time.
I don't really give a fuck. Like, it's thug life.
There's some people who get into rapping and they love rapping, and they're just never going to do anything besides rap. That's the only thing that they give a fuck about,
right.
And that's amazing. When you see people like that and you realize how singular they are in that obsession, a lot of people, they make it as a rapper, and then they're like, well, shit, I'm interested in like 10 other things that I might pursue over the course of the next 20 years, not to mention family, not to mention just enjoying life, etc.
Elton John's gay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Elton John's gay, and people collaborate with Elton John all the time. And like I seen, I can't remember who the last person that collaborated with Elton John, but like, who gives a fuck? Like,
we need him back. Okay, what do you need to accomplish before you die?
I just need to see my kids' marriages through. I need to see them get married. They don't have to get married, but I need to see them like succeed at being adults.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, the only thing that I haven't done for myself, like that's gonna make me happy, is bought a beach house. I've always wanted a beach house since the beginning of my career, but I just bought other houses and shit. But now, so that's like I said, I'm in the process of buying a beach house, and that shit is gonna be the last thing that I need to do for myself. As far as staying alive, just to be a father and a grandfather and a great grandfather or something like that, like just that. I don't need to attain any more material shit. Like I didn't seen it all. Like I don't material shit. What gets me out of this, out of the bed in the morning is the untimely demises of like, my siblings, Nip Hussle, Tupac. Never met Tupac, but still that, his death affected me to grow old. Like I'm literally in a competition with myself to become an old man. So that's what gets me up every day. And that's what, that's my conscience. That's the conscience that is on my shoulder talking to me sometimes where I'm about to go off the lid. And sometimes I see people saying, oh, you 42 now, you shouldn't be doing this and shit. You don't know what the fuck I should be doing. Right. You're not living my life.
50 says I'm supposed to hate him, but I don't hate him.
I think with me at 50, man, if that shit never happened, man, I mean, we're still fucking superstars. But if that shit never happened, we might be two of the biggest rappers ever in the history of music.
He used to go to Macy's and hide the G-Unit shirts when you were beefing with him because
he told me that. Hide them shit. That is, man.
That's
he tells me that. He tells so many people that story, bro. He said, yo.
He loves to repeat a story.
Like, yo, you don't, period.
The doctor said, like, you're going to die if you keep drinking.
Yeah,
and he was just like, all right, boom,
so it wasn't a personal decision.
He went through some shit. Getting off of it for sure.
Dope. Yeah.
But then I was very impressed because I've definitely had some friends who the doctor told them like you're gonna die if you keep drinking, and they just kept drinking.
Oh fuck! Nah, that's dope, man.
What's your relationship with alcohol though at this point? You think you got problems still?
Nah, I never had an alcohol problem. So Elton John's gay, and people collaborate with Elton John all the time. And he's a superstar, man. I love fucking Old Town Road, and for that to come from a young black kid is cool with me. I don't care if he's gay. When I listen to Old Town Road, I don't feel like I'm listening to gay music. It's just we chose two different lifestyles and two different sexual preferences, but it's nothing wrong with us existing in the world together. So again, if he does anything with his body or his choices, decisions, sexual preference, like, let him do it. Like it's his life. Like everybody should be doing exactly what they want to do, especially if it makes them happy and it's not really hurting other people.
That they've created this sense of, stress over something as pure as a school. You know, that like, if they were shooting up malls, it would be just as bad. But the fact that everybody has to be this worried about sending their kids to school has like a really particularly sinister effect on society.
And not saying I condone anything or any of it or even but there's two sides to every story. This human that goes and does that, inhumane bullshit also is broken somewhere during his probably childhood, right? If he's going to shoot up a school or something. And so the bullying and all of that shit, like I think that educators and, like school councils and all of that shit, I think it starts there. Like I think that teachers got to be a lot more hands-on and a lot more caring. When I grew up, most teachers didn't even give a fuck. They was waiting for the bell ring, like us.
It's just kind of like, it's a sick impulse that a lot of these fans have these days. These fucking white kids. The kids are like talking about how they don't fuck with Lil Durk because King Von got killed and Lil Durk didn't slide for Von, which is like a meme online. And they're like, we like Young Boy because, like these kids like really believe that they're a part of these real situations. Yeah. And these kids are out here just saying this shit I couldn't even wrap my head around how much these kids really believe that they're a part of this.
Slide for him positively?
Crash out.
So it's just like, you don't need to take no fucking advice or feel pressured by no people on the internet telling you to go slide for this and slide for that. You know what I'm saying? How many niggas lost their lives sliding for shit and doing this?
But he has to read those fucking comments on Instagram of people who are like, you should be sliding for your brother. There's been kind of a conversation on like LA meme rap pages or whatever about, does the outside world fuck with LA rap? And when you really break it down over the last like 20 years, there's only so many rappers from the West Coast that you can say have really like broken through and become national artists. Whereas there are a lot of LA popular rappers who it kind of seems like their fan base doesn't extend too far past the West Coast.
You know what it is that we got to get outside. I used to tell Nip this all the time. Like, we got to get outside. As soon as they say that you're regional, you got to start, just adding, just putting on more hats. You know what I'm saying? It's, lyrically, beat wise. It's like when I'm already from Compton. Right. I'm already from the West Coast. I'm already a West Coast legend. I done already been in this shit. So now when I get a beat pack or you make a beat for me, I don't make me a West Coast beat. Like, we'll get to that because that is who I am. That's where I come from. A lot of fans, they don't understand what it takes to clear out like samples. I have a song on my album with like 17 samples in it, but when we actually have to go clear the song, you have to go find 17 people. You have to find the guitarist to clear his part. You have to go find the person that played bass. You have to go find the person who was singing, the person that wrote the lyrics for him and all that. Then you got to clear it through the labels and the production companies. So imagine how many samples. If I just told you that 17 samples were in one song, like it was a lot. It's just too much of a headache.
Right.
And so if you don't have no samples on your shit, you could put your album out the next motherfucking day after you're done if you feel like it.
Right. But you've never really like discussed that with producers in the past? Like, don't put 17 samples.
Nah, because I never had an album that had 30 songs on it. Like the other ones were like real easy to clear and shit. But now it's like hella technical.
The opposite of that is like, okay, for example, rest in peace, King Von. And then I see the picture of him with his kids. And then it really hits me of like, that's why this is so sad. It's like your life is one thing, but those kids growing up without a father figure is the ultimate tragedy. Right? Mm-hmm.
And when you take the center or, the man or the husband or the father figure out of a family, that shit break down in ill ways, man. And I seen his, wife and after and how, like, I always wonder, because I have all three of my children, right? And I've lost my, siblings and like when I was younger though. But like now, like I don't even understand how like Dolph wife could just like push through that shit. Like that's your person. You know what I'm saying? It's a person that that you love to death. They love you to death.